Hello and welcome to this week's Granny's Garden. Now I planted this little baby a couple of days ago, but it's now high time I got my act together and planted all of the rest of the shrubs that belong to that same plant hole or shrub hole. And first of all I need to do is get a hold of a shovel and start digging up that Forsythia that I have to get rid of to plant the Corkscrew Hazel. And then I'm going to plant the others, and then I'll get back to you to show you what it looks like at the end, a quick tour. So, see you in a bit. Well, this is the job for today. I've got to lift this, being very careful, because if you can see here, there's a little vertical there, another vertical over there. There is an irrigation line which seems to be running right below it. Now, in actual fact, when I'm placing the Corkscrew Hazel, it's going to be slightly further back, but either way, this has got to go. Now, the first thing I need to do is get my tools ready. There's a kneeler mat and a small pickaxe just in case. Some loppers to reduce height initially, and of course my trusty pointed spade. And I am never without the gardening belt. Unfortunately, I couldn't use the spade all the way around. It would have made light work of it. There's an irrigation line going from here right through that hole up to the next one. So I had to go very, very gingerly, making sure I wasn't going to go through it. And obviously, a spade with a very sharp point would have gone straight through it. So now what I need to do is fill in this hole and make a newer run further back, away from that central line. So I'm just going to put some sticks now, marking that central line, and then start digging the hole. Right, so the hole just has to be just behind it. Perfect. Now, before I get it into the ground, I'm just going to have a quick little look at it. It's leafed out, so anything that hasn't leafed out or that's broken is obviously dead. So I'm going to remove the dead ones, and there's just some ones like this that I can see that are crossing and going to cause problems. So I'm going to get those out as well, and then it'll be in perfect condition for planting. So let's get the dead ones out first. Back as far as you can. Snips are fine because these branches are very, very thin and very easy to cut, and the snips are fantastic. That goes out as well. This one as well. Now I can't see any more dead ones, so I'm just going to see if there's any crossing. Another dead one there. There's one crossing here, but I'm just going to leave it for this growing season. I want to see which of these two becomes a stronger branch before taking one of them off. So I can do that easily come next spring after it's finished flowering. Just possibly take off this which is facing towards the inside. Don't want that growing straight into that. I think we're going to get this fella in the ground. Now this can take any soil type as long as it's free draining, and this is fantastic drainage, this area here. It also can take full sun or partial shade, so it should love it here because this gets dapple shade. So let's get started. I've dug a hole that's too deep because I want to lift it out now and form a good base, a good compost mixed with the native soil and mixed with planter fertiliser. That's going to give it the best start in life we can. I have been having a good look at this camellia and I keep coming back and back to it again. And I want you to have a look at the very, very base of it. This is a prime candidate to make a tree instead of a shrub. So what you do when you try to make a shrub into a tree is you measure. You can do it by eye, you can do it with a measuring tape. You measure from the soil depth to the top and then take the last third of it, just a third, no more, and start removing the branches. Little by little, this will start getting taller, and every year you can make sure that the bottom third has got no branches. So I'm going to be doing, before I plant it, is removing any branch that is below that bottom third. In this case, it'll probably only be these two for the moment. And what I'm going to do is, within the shrub border, I'm going to create this small little tree, and that'll leave areas open underneath to plant smaller shrubs. And it'll also give a different type of height and architecture to the actual shrub border itself. I think that's going to be lovely, because I do actually have another camellia, and that is definitely shrub form, but this is definitely a prime candidate for a tree. This central stem is beautifully strong, and I can already see when I'm going to be making the cuts in the future, and in future years I can already see that branch coming off and these two coming off. I'm going to be left with this little top knot on the top of camellia blossoms. How beautiful is that? What I'm going to do now is get planting all of the rest, which for me is going to be today and tomorrow and possibly the next day, because I've got to do other things as well, obviously. And then I'll get back to you, for you in a few minutes, for me in a couple of days, and just show you where everything's planted and what the next steps are. I'll see you in a few minutes, for me a couple of days. We're going to start this tour, little mini tour, on the back part of the property, and the part that's next to the kitchen, the chill out area. And the first bit of good news is that the roof that was destroyed during the blizzard over the awning has been fixed. Yay! So I planted here was the Clematis montana grandiflora, and what I wanted to do is to climb and cover this eyesore. Now in the video, why is my cypress hedge turning brown? This part of the hedge belongs to the neighbour, it's not mine. And when I arrived here, it was literally on its last legs, and I couldn't see any obvious sign of disease. On the understanding that it's from lack of water and from lack of fertiliser. I hit it with a lot of water during the growing season, last growing season, and a lot of nitrogen, high nitrogen fertiliser. And as you see, there's a lot of green growth springing out from the trunk, because as you know, it doesn't ever grow from those brown branches. And if I pull further back where I was able to get my hand right in through the fence, the recovery with the high nitrogen is even better. And if I swing round to the actual part of the hedges on my side, and I could get right down to the base, the recovery is quite noticeable. But however, this part of the hedge is not mine. It's very, very difficult to get access to the base of the actual trunks itself, because his level is not on my level. His level is a lot further down. So sort of like, it's not a question of, I have to get my hands sort of like through that thicket and then try and get down. Almost impossible. So what I want to do is try and cover it with a clematis. Now, what I'm going to do is leave it for this growing season, see how far the clematis goes, and see if I like the look of it or not, or if these green branches are going to stick through the clematis and I'm not going to like it. So I either leave the clematis, or I make some sort of covering over it on my side and then put the clematis up it. But either way, I don't want that eyesore anymore. So that's where the clematis is gone. Let's carry on to another part of the garden. Now this is where I've planted the agapanthus and the stipa. It's just in the gravel area which I want to be my future dry garden. When I am starting something completely new like a dry garden, what I like to do is try out plants. So I'm not going to buy 15 agapanthus. I love the combination of stipa and agapanthus. It's absolutely wonderful. But I want to see how it's going to do here. So I've just got this little combination here that I bought in the garden centre while I was, of course, while I was out buying my shrubs. And I'm just going to give it a try out for the next few weeks or few months to see how it goes. And if it likes this area, I'm going to have lots of groups of that, because it's really, really spectacular. Wait until you see the stipa grass when it's about 24, about 2 foot tall, and you see the agapanthus poking up through it. It's absolutely delightful. What a combination. But at the moment it looks like 4 little plants stuck in a bit of gravel. Don't worry, there is a future to this. It's not today, but there is a future. It's going somewhere in the right direction. You're going to have to take my word on that. Now next up is this little Mexican grass. Now as I stated before, this Mexican grass does need a lot more water or moisture than, for instance, the stipa grass over there. So I put it here. It's all on its own, poor little thing in the gravel, all on its own for the moment, because I just want to see if this little sprinkler system over here, you can see the little orange top, Now the outer range is just splashing that. It's not giving it a huge bucketful, it's just giving it a little splash. And I want to see now if that amount of moisture is perfect for it to thrive. And if it is, then I'll know that these sprinkler systems, there's several, that more or less have the same range all up and down this little border that's behind. And I'm going to be planting then more Mexican grass, but towards the edge of the border. Now let's go down and have a look at the rest of the shrubs I planted. So this area here is coming along nicely. So I've got my hibiscus there, I've got my red twig dogwood there, I've got the 3 little nandinas I transplanted last autumn. Then I've got my camellia, and I've got my spirea bridal wreath, which is just beginning to bud up. And then where the flags are, these flags are, I've got those giant Himalayan lilies, which hopefully will come up. This section down here I've got to redo because the only thing that survived the cold snap after the blizzard, not the blizzard itself, but the cold snap after the blizzard, were these little fellas. So this little mound is going to be redone, and I'm going to take a trip down to Desert City one of these fine days and talk to them about succulents that can withstand really cold temperatures. This is the other little camellia I have, and it was transplanted last year because where it was in the garden was not doing well at all. So I want to see how it does on this side of the garden. There is a Florida dogwood. Doesn't it look sweet? They almost look like little candles on a Christmas tree. It looks like a giant candelabra at the moment. I hope you can see that on the camera, but it really looks dead sweet at the moment. Then if I come in here, whoops, down here, look how that peony's come along in just 7 days. In leaps and bounds. It's actually above the level of the cage. And if I just pop in here without stepping on the peony, that's what the cage is there for. This is the royal purple smoke bush. And again, in those 7 days, you can already see those royal purple leaves leafing out nicely. And if I swing around behind the viburnum tinus and the little weigela bush is the corkscrew. Look how that has leafed out. When I sat on the steps a week ago, it was just little bare branches, and now it's got leaves that are almost like 2 centimeters, almost like 1 inch long. Lovely green colour, lovely spring colour. I love spring. But there's still a lot of gaps to be filled, but don't worry, there are more trips to the garden centre. Here's the more mature area now. This again is a viburnum tinus, a large one. It's about 5, 6, 7 foot. Then I've got little climbing rose here, and I've got one of the mahonias here. I can see the starlings getting ready. Look at these berries on the mahonia. Oh my goodness. Let's have a look at the other ones over here. As soon as the weather starts warming up, because we're very late this year, a good 3 weeks behind the garden this year, those are going to turn a beautiful purple colour, and the birds are going to be swooping on them. Now, the next video, if I don't get waylaid, is probably going to be how to prune the Forsythia, because as you can see, the flowers are now dying or looking pretty sad. So definitely it's going to be a how-to pruning video on the Forsythia. And this is the mahonia that I pruned last year. It is so important to prune things correctly. If in my video how to prune mahonia, this was a multi-trunk, it was all leggy and it looked like a crown of a tree and trunks. There was nothing down below. So I reshaped the top to give it this nice fan shape. I pulled a lot of the congested branches out, took a lot of them right down to ground level and took them away, and others I cut at different lengths. And look at it now. It is so full and luscious. You can hardly see the trunks now. It looks tropical. It looks absolutely wonderful. And I want to have a look at another shrub, which is the Forsythia, red robin, which I also pruned last year to get rid of the legginess. And I'm just going to show you now what it looks like. It's in the shade now because it's in the evening, and the birds, you can hear them singing, they're going to bed. But look at that. It's got its red spring growth. But look at where the red growth is starting. It's right from the very, very base, right up to the top. It's bushy, it's luscious, and it is looking extremely healthy. So certainly mission accomplished there. So important to do this pruning at the right time and the right way. Isn't it lovely? And a quick flick to the left. This is a very Spanish plant. This is scorpion vetch. It grows wild here, and I just put a few in the garden. It's one of the few things that can compete with this blooming, awful cypress hedge, the roots. So, when it finishes flowering, it is these like seed pods that look like peas, and I just open them and scatter them around. And so far I've managed to propagate quite a few of them. I just literally open the seed pod and fling them out, and where they land, if they decide to grow, that's fine by me. Because so far this side is the bane of my life, between the cypress hedge, which I want to take out, and the steep embankment, which when it rains all the soil comes down. I've managed to stop the soil eroding. In part, I've still got bald patches, by putting English ivy, which I normally hate, but it's the only thing that holds it together, and vinca. You can see the vinca flowers as well sticking through. But nothing seems to grow vertically, except the Forsythia, which was here when I came here, and the reason I think is that it was planted at the same time as the hedge, and that it managed to get its roots established before the hedge began to take over. Because anything that's planted new just doesn't take in this area at all. But doesn't that scorpion vetch look lovely? And it smells incredible. Absolutely incredible. Talk about a heady perfume, especially at this hour of the evening. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'm certainly going to be giving you updates throughout this growing season on this new shrub border that I'm creating. And what's really amazing for me is I just literally planted them 1 week ago, and 7 days later in this little tour I'm giving you today, everything is starting to grow and branch out, and just showing that spring is well and truly here, and the growing season has well and truly started. It is just so exciting. I'm so looking forward to it, and fingers crossed things are going to look so pretty in about 2 months' time, and hopefully you'll be here along with me to see it. For the moment, it's from me, it's bye, and I hope to see you next Friday here in Granny's garden, and I'm going to leave you with what's good in my garden this week. Bye bye now. What's looking good in the garden this week? A combination of the last of the daffodils with the first of the tulips.